I was 17 when I noticed the handwriting. Drop your city and local time in the comments. I want to know who's listening tonight. It started with notes left on my desk. Small ones at first. Folded squares of lined paper with my name written in blue ink across the front. I thought they were from my friend Maya. She sat 2 rows behind me in AP History, and we passed notes all the time. Stupid stuff. Complaints about Mr. Hendricks and his PowerPoints. Plans for the weekend. Who was hooking up with who. But when I unfolded the first one, the handwriting was wrong. It said, "You looked tired today. I hope you got some sleep." I turned around. Maya was texting under her desk. She didn't even glance up. The note wasn't from her. I shoved it into my backpack and forgot about it. Or I tried to. The next day, another one. Same blue ink. Same careful slanted cursive. "Your hair looks nice when you wear it down." I folded it back up and looked around the classroom. No one was watching me. No one seemed to care. By the end of the week, I had 6 notes. All of them small observations. Things someone would only notice if they were paying very close attention. You bite your nails when you're nervous. You always sit in the same spot at lunch. You hum when you think no one's listening. I showed them to Maya. She read through them and frowned. "That's weird," she said. "Do you know who it is?" I shook my head. "Could be a secret admirer," she offered. But her voice didn't sound convinced. I didn't think so either. There was something too observant about the notes, too specific. It didn't feel like a crush. It felt like someone cataloging me. I started watching people more carefully, in the hallways, in the cafeteria. I tried to catch someone staring or looking away too quickly. Nothing. Then the notes started appearing in other places. One tucked into the side pocket of my backpack. Another slipped between the pages of my library book. One folded inside my locker, even though I never gave anyone my combination. That one said, "I like the way you smell." I went to the office. I told the vice principal someone was leaving me notes and I didn't know who. She asked if the notes were threatening. I said no. She said there wasn't much they could do unless the person was making me feel unsafe. "Keep them," she said. "If it escalates, come back." Escalates, the word stuck in my head. I started keeping the notes in a Ziploc bag. Evidence, I guess. By the end of the month, there were 23. Then the notebook showed up. I found it on my desk one morning before first period. A plain black composition notebook. No name on it. No label. I opened it. Inside were pages and pages of handwriting. The same careful blue cursive. But this wasn't just notes anymore. It was a journal. About me. October 3rd. She wore the green hoodie again. It's her favorite. She pulls the sleeves over her hands when she's cold. I think she does it without realizing. October 8th. She sat alone at lunch today. I wanted to sit with her, but I know she wouldn't understand. Not yet. October 12th. She laughed at something Maya said and covered her mouth with her hand. She thinks her smile is crooked. She's wrong. It's perfect. I flipped through the pages. There were dozens of entries, some short, some a full page, all about me. My hands were shaking. I turned to the most recent entry. October 19th. She found the notebook. I left it for her. I want her to know I see her, really see her. Not the way everyone else does. They don't pay attention. But I do. I always do. I slammed the notebook shut. Maya grabbed my arm. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. I just handed her the notebook. She read the first page, then the second. Her face went pale. "We need to tell someone," she said. We went back to the office. This time, the vice principal took it seriously. She made copies of the notebook. She called my parents. She said they'd look into it. But here's the thing. They never found out who it was. The handwriting didn't match anyone in my classes. The notebook had no fingerprints. No one saw anyone leave it on my desk. Security footage showed nothing. It was like the person didn't exist. The notes stopped after that. No more entries, no more folded squares of paper. But I still think about it, because whoever wrote those things is still out there, still watching maybe, still cataloging someone else. And I never found out who they were. I just know they knew me better than I knew myself. The parking lot was always empty by the time play practice ended. If you're alone right now, let me know in the comments. I was a theater kid, junior year. We were doing Our Town, and I had a small part as one of the townspeople. Nothing special, but I loved it. Loved the rehearsals, the way the stage lights made everything feel like a different world. Practice ended at 6, sometimes later if our director was on a roll. My mom worked late most nights. I told her I could get a ride from someone. I never did. I just walked the half-mile home. It wasn't a big deal. Except one night in October, I noticed a car, a red sedan, older model, parked at the far end of the lot under a broken streetlight. I didn't think much of it. Lots of people parked there, teachers, parents waiting to pick up their kids. But the car was still there when I left. Engine off. No one inside that I could see. I walked past it, kept my head down. The October air was cold, and I pulled my jacket tighter. Halfway home, I heard an engine start behind me. I turned. The red sedan rolled out of the parking lot. Slow. Headlights off. It turned in my direction. My stomach dropped. I kept walking. Faster now. The car followed. It stayed about 50 feet back, close enough that I could hear the engine, far enough that I couldn't see the driver. I thought about running, but I didn't want to look stupid. What if it was just someone going the same way? The car followed me all the way to my street. Then it slowed, stopped at the corner. I didn't look back. I just unlocked my front door and went inside. I stood at the window, peeked through the curtain. The red sedan was still there, idling at the corner. No headlights. It sat there for 5 minutes. Then it drove away. I told myself it was nothing, a coincidence. Someone lost, someone on their phone. But the next night, it happened again. Same car, same parking spot, same slow crawl behind me as I walked home. This time, I took out my phone, tried to get a picture of the license plate, but the streetlights were dim and the photo came out blurry, just a dark smudge where the numbers should have been. I showed it to my friend Ethan the next day. He squinted at the screen. "Could be anyone," he said. "You sure it's the same car?" I was sure. That night, Ethan walked me home. The red sedan was there, parked in the same spot, but it didn't follow us. It just sat there, watching. "See," I said, "that's the one." Ethan walked over to it, knocked on the window. No one answered. He peered inside. Then he came back. "Empty," he said. "Maybe they're in the building or something." But I didn't think so. The next week, the car started showing up in other places. Outside the grocery store where I worked weekends, parked across the street from my house. Once, in the lot outside the public library. I started keeping a list. Dates and times, locations. I didn't know what else to do. My mom finally noticed I was jumpy. I told her about the car. She said she'd call the police. The officer who came to our house was polite. He took notes, asked for the license plate. I showed him the blurry photo. He said there wasn't much they could do unless the person approached me or made threats. "It's probably nothing," he said. "But call us if it continues." It continued. One night after practice, I stayed late to help paint sets. By the time I left, it was almost 8. The parking lot was pitch black. Only 2 cars left, mine and the red sedan. I froze. The sedan's headlights flicked on, high beams, blinding. I ran back to the building, locked the door behind me. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I called my mom. She said she'd be there in 10 minutes. I watched from the window. The red sedan didn't move. It just sat there, headlights on, engine running. My mom pulled up. I sprinted to her car. The red sedan's door opened. A figure stepped out. I couldn't see their face, just a silhouette, tall, thin, wearing a hoodie. They stood there, didn't move toward us, just watched as we drove away. My mom called the police again. This time they sent someone to patrol the school parking lot, but the red sedan never came back. Not to the school anyway. It showed up one more time. A week later, parked outside my house at 3 a.m. I only knew because our dog started barking. I looked out my window. The car was there, headlights off. Someone sitting in the driver's seat. I woke my mom. She called the cops. By the time they arrived, the car was gone. The officer said they'd increase patrols in our neighborhood. He said it sounded like someone was fixated on me. He used that word, fixated. After that, nothing. No more red sedan, no more sightings. I graduated 2 years ago. I moved to a different city for college. But sometimes, when I'm walking alone at night, I still look over my shoulder. I still check for headlights in the dark, and I still wonder who was driving that car. His locker was directly across from mine. Comment where you're listening from. Are you in bed? On a night drive? Senior year, spring semester. That's when I met Daniel. He transferred in from somewhere out of state. Quiet kid, kept to himself. He had this old film camera he carried everywhere, a black Pentax with a cracked leather strap. People thought it was pretentious. I thought it was kind of cool. We had 2 classes together, English and art. He sat in the back, never raised his hand, never talked to anyone. But he was always taking pictures. The teacher didn't mind. Mr. Osmond said photography was a valid form of artistic expression. Daniel could document the class if he wanted, as long as it didn't disrupt anyone. So Daniel took pictures of the whiteboard, of the windows, of other students working at their desks, of me. I noticed it one day in English. I was reading at my desk and I heard the shutter click. I looked up. Daniel lowered the camera. He didn't smile, didn't apologize, just wound the film and went back to staring out the window. I thought it was weird, but I didn't say anything. The next week, he took another picture of me, this time in the hallway. I was at my locker and I heard the click behind me. I turned around. Daniel was standing there, camera raised. "Do you mind?" I asked. He shook his head. "You have good light." Then he walked away. After that, it happened all the time. In the cafeteria, in the library, walking to my car after school. Every time I turned around, Daniel was there, camera raised, shutter clicking. My friend Becca said I should tell someone, but I didn't know what to say. He wasn't doing anything wrong, not technically. People took pictures all the time, but it felt wrong. One day I confronted him. I walked up to him after art class and asked him why he kept taking pictures of me. He looked confused, like the question didn't make sense. "I take pictures of everything," he said. "But you take a lot of me." He nodded. "You're interesting." "Interesting how?" He thought about it. Then he said, "You don't perform. Most people perform. They know when someone's watching and they change. But you don't. You're the same all the time." I didn't know what to say to that. "Can you stop?" I asked. He didn't answer, just walked away. The pictures didn't stop. A week later, I saw them. Daniel had a show in the art hallway, a collection of black and white prints mounted on foam board. Mr. Osmond said it was part of his final project. I went to look. Becca came with me. The photos were good, really good. Moody shots of empty classrooms, close-ups of hands holding pencils, a stairwell with light pouring through the window. And then I saw them. An entire row of pictures. All of me. Me reading at my desk, me laughing with Becca at lunch, me staring out the window during class, me walking to my car. Me sitting alone on the bleachers during gym. There were at least 20 of them. Becca grabbed my arm. What the hell? Other students were looking, whispering. I felt sick. I went to Mr. Osman, told him I didn't give Daniel permission to display those photos. He said he'd talked to Daniel. He said he didn't realize I was uncomfortable. The photos came down that afternoon, but Daniel didn't stop taking pictures. If anything, it got worse. I started noticing him in places he shouldn't be, outside my house, at the coffee shop where I studied, at the park where I walked my dog, always with the camera. My parents got involved. My dad went to the school, talked to the principal. The principal called Daniel in, told him he needed to stop. Daniel said he would. He didn't. One night, I heard something outside my bedroom window, a soft tapping sound. I looked out. Daniel was standing in my backyard, camera raised, pointed at my window. I screamed. My dad ran outside. Daniel was gone by the time he got there. But the next morning, we found something. A photo tucked under the windshield wiper of my car. It was me, asleep in my bed, taken through my window. On the back, in pencil, it said, "You're always the same." My parents called the police. They filed a report. An officer went to Daniel's house, talked to his parents. Daniel denied everything. Said he didn't take the photo. Said someone must be trying to frame him. But 2 days later, he stopped coming to school. His parents pulled him out, enrolled him somewhere else. That's what I heard anyway. I never saw him again. But sometimes I think about that photo, the one taken through my window. I think about how many others there might have been, how long he'd been watching before I noticed, and I think about what he said, that I was always the same. I wonder what he meant by that, if it was a compliment or something else. I still close my curtains every night, even now, even though I'm miles away from that town, because I know what it feels like to be watched, to be framed, to be someone's subject without ever agreeing to it. And I know that somewhere out there, Daniel still has those pictures.